All right, welcome my beautiful people to this week in review. I got a little bit to cover, but I don't think it's going to be a super long video, although I always say that. I'm going to get right into the question, and there's two questions for this week. The first question is, Fernando, what are the three major problems getting into the short-term rental game that you see today? Here are the three major problems, and they're not really major problems, is more of what people fail to understand when they get into the short-term rental game. The first thing is the amount of effort and attention to detail that you need as a short-term rental operator. I don't know who said it, I don't know why they said it, but there's been a lot of people that have said that the short-term rental game is a passive game. It can be a passive game if you're not the operator. So for example, if you hire us or a company like mine to manage your property, then it becomes a passive game for the investor or the property owner. But it's nowhere near passive if you are the one that's going to do the operations, or you're the one that's going to handle the day-to-day operation, right? It's not passive. And then number two, especially today, it's not number two, it's within the same realm here, is the fact that you really need to pay attention to detail. And when I say pay attention to detail, I mean every little aspect of your property and your business needs to be attended to, right? Long gone are the days in which you can post something that has a lot of deficiencies and not worry about it. Today, you have to worry about it. Your property should have little to no deficiencies on the areas in which you can control. And I say that because, let's say, for example, there's a couple things you can't control. You can't control your environment, meaning your neighborhood, where you live or where the property is located at. You can't control that. Now, you can control it before you buy or invest in that area, understand that. But let's assume you inherited the property, or you're managing the property for somebody else. You can't control that environment aspect, so don't worry about that. But you can definitely control everything that's inside that property, right? Anything dealing within the operations of that property, your guest communication, your listing optimization. There's so many things that you can control that you should really pay attention to. Those little attention to details will pay huge dividends in guest satisfaction. So let me give you a couple of examples of what I mean of attention to detail that many people miss. If you are catering to a family, for example, make sure you have stuff like children's toys and coloring books. In terms of dishware, make sure you have age-appropriate dishware. In terms of cooking, make sure you have all the necessary items to cook, to bake, to barbecue. All that stuff needs to be in your property. Pay special attention to stuff like wine openers, bottle openers, can openers, mitts, oven mitts. Those little things that you may not think are necessary because you're not living in it, can be necessary for a family that plans to spend 2 or 3 weeks at your property, and they want to do a lot of the stuff that they do at home in your property. So those little attention to details are going to pay huge dividends. Number two, that most people fail to understand is how unpredictable revenue can be. Not that it is all the time, but that it can be if you're not prepared for it. Especially if you are in an area that has seasons, or peak seasons, or low seasons, etc. You really need to understand that revenue management is important, but that it's unpredictable. You're really guessing what the next month's going to look like, because you don't know what can happen. So that unpredictability can be challenging for a lot of short-term rental operators. It can be a big surprise for For those that don't do their numbers correctly and end up bringing in a lot less than they anticipated. Plus, the other thing that's really need to understand is your operating costs, because your operating costs will affect your revenue. So that aspect of it is really important. You need to prepare for it. You need to understand it, and you need to be ready for it. The last thing I'm going to talk about in relation to the three major problems that people don't understand when they get into the short-term rental game, and that is dealing with guests. People, you're in the hospitality industry. Dealing with people is very, very difficult. It can be rewarding, but you need to understand that especially today in this high demand, high entitled society, dealing with people is going to be very difficult. You need to be ready. You need to have patience. You need to learn to navigate different personalities, different cultures. You need to learn to navigate different language barriers, right? Anticipate, be prepared and anticipate what you're going to do when something goes wrong. Today, I'm telling you, man, we live in an entitled society. You're not going to please everyone, so don't try to please everyone. But you need to do your best in providing first-class customer service. The one thing that I struggled with and that now I really, really focus on, and it took me a long time to try to master, and I haven't mastered it, is staying cool under pressure, right? Staying calm, staying with the same monotone speech, even when someone's mother effing you, even when someone's cursing you on the phone. Don't retaliate against that. Here's what I do oftentimes. I just give the person a warning. I tell the person, listen, I am here to help you, but I am not here to be abused by you. If you continue, then I'm going to end this conversation. And if they continue, I just simply hang up. There's no need to get into a back and forth with your guests. And that is difficult for a lot of people. I can tell you it was difficult for me, right? But it's something you have to master, something you have to work on, something that is critical in the short-term rental game if you want to do this for the long run and be successful at it. Okay. The next question is, Fernando, I understand that you're going to Spain, specifically Ibiza. I am looking to invest in Ibiza. Can you give me some key aspects about the short-term rental business in Ibiza? Okay. I'm going to give you three things about Ibiza. And again, we're going to be there. We're going to be in Spain for almost all of May. We actually leave in less than a week. So we're going to be there for most of May. If you are in Spain and you want us to optimize your Airbnb or help you or do a consultation with you, then hit me up, DM me. Get me while I'm there, because you're going to save a lot of money because I'm already there and you don't have to pay for my flights. But specifically Ibiza, here's something you need to understand with Ibiza. Ibiza, just like a lot of tourist destinations, it's very seasonal. It is, the peak season for Ibiza is between June and September, right? June, July, August, September. Main reason for that, it's not just because Ibiza is an island and it's real touristy, but that really is the peak season almost worldwide, because most people take vacations in the summer. Europeans definitely take their vacations in July and August. They have the luxury of getting like the whole month off. But in the U.S., South America, a lot of kids are not in school in the summer, so those times, families and a lot of people tend to travel during those months. But in Ibiza, it is definitely June to September, which is the peak season for that. So you as a person looking to invest there, when you're looking at your numbers, understand that what you need to not do is use your numbers, your numbers from just June, July, and August, and really figure out what your revenue is going to be in the off season combined with the revenue in the peak season to get an average to figure out if that's going to be a good investment or not. The next thing you need to understand that Ibiza is what we refer to as the luxury market. Things are expensive there in comparison to most of Spain. People that go there want that luxury. They're looking for that. There is a big hippie community there, but for the average tourist, for the tourists that are going in high season, these are high rollers. These are people that are going to spend a lot of money. And if you're going to get into that market, you need to understand that that's your clientele, right? You're going to be catering to your avatar, which is the luxury market. The next thing to understand there is that just like in many parts of the world in which tourism is popular and thus the short-term rental industry has become popular, regulation is going to be part of your industry in Ibiza. Currently, there's several regulations that are regulating short-term rentals, specifically as it relates to noise, occupancy or max occupancy in terms of people, how long, how short can you rent? That stuff is currently being regulated, and you need to understand that. The next you need to understand is that right now, just like most parts of the world, people have woken up to the short-term rental game, and it's become very competitive. So if you're going to get into that market, you're going to get into that, you need to understand that you need to provide first-class services, for first-class accommodation to be competitive. Along those same lines, your pricing needs to match. So before you buy something and invest in that area, make sure you analyze your numbers correctly to make sure that you're going to be profitable, because it is very, very competitive in Ibiza. It's a small area, so you're going to be competing with a lot of other short-term rentals, and you want to stand out to make sure that you can become profitable. That is it for that. If you have any questions going in the future, go ahead and buy me a coffee, because that's how I answer these questions. The first question came to me through my subscriber on Instagram. The second question came from a guy who bought me a coffee, and we had a discussion about Ibiza. So that's why I brought this up during this weekend review. So now let's get into the business aspect of it, the revenue. This week, we generated a little over 42,000. We had 253 bookings. Our occupancy rate is at 65.19%. Again, below where I want to be, but I'm hoping that by the end of the month, we're going to be where I need to be, which is around 75%. Average daily rate is $166. RevPAR is 108. In terms of revenue by platform, Airbnb brought in almost a little over half, 23,000. Booking came in at 8,000. We came in at 5,000. Verbal 3, and others came in at 2.5 thousand. RevPAR by property, Oakland Park is at 433. Pompano is at 310. Fort Lauderdale by the Sea is at 309. Sunfield House in Fort Lauderdale is at 280, and everything else is at 104, or the average is 104. I forgot to mention other fees. Other fees came in at $11,734. Project progress. Really don't have anything to update you on in terms of the upcoming projects, other than the fact that we're going to be in Spain for most of May. We're going to do a lot of projects in Spain. We're going to be optimizing a beautiful short-term rental that we got commissioned to optimize. We're going to be staying there for 3 days. Super excited to bring you the videos and photos of this particular property. Plus, we're going to be showing off Ibiza. One of the things that I always tell my host is that don't focus on just your property, because when people book your property, they're not just staying in your property. You should be marketing the area and the things to do in your area so that you can attract more visitors. So for example, in Ibiza, there's some historical sites that we're going to be visiting in downtown. We're going to see some of the churches. We're going to go on some of the party boats. Ibiza's famous for their nightclubs and their party boats. We're going to visit at least 2 nightclubs and definitely 2 party boats that we already have booked. So we're going to be bringing that to you. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, do so. If you haven't subscribed to my or followed me on Instagram, do so. But more importantly, subscribe, because we do add a lot of extra stuff on there. Nothing to report in terms of staffing and in terms of problems for this past week. Problems for this last week. We did came across one that I want to address. So we got hired to manage a property in Pompano. One of the things that we do when we manage a property is that we do an inspection, and then we also, if the property requires licensing, we request a copy of the license. And if the license has been expired, we either request that the owner get the license updated, or they can hire us to update their license. In this particular case, the owner hired us to update their license. One of the things we do is we do a lien check. And during that lien check, we discovered that there was an $80,000 lien from the city of Pompano against this property, which prevents us from actually getting an actual license, because you need to get a license, you can't have any open permits or any liens on your property. So for those of you that are looking to get into the short-term rental game, or you're looking to invest in a property, one of the things that you definitely should be doing is checking on what type of regulation that particular city, county, or state has for short-term rentals. And then, even if the license, they give you a current valid license, I would always check to see if there's any liens against it, or any complaints from or any citations issued for that property, because you don't want to inherit a problem. Had we not checked, we would have inherited a big problem with this property. So that's something to be mindful of, something to pay attention of, extremely important. So in this particular case, the property owner, we recommended the property owner hire an attorney to try to resolve it, because that issue came as a result of the prior property manager. So they do have some legal recourse. But at the end of the day, man, they're stuck with a property that has an $80,000 lien that you really can't do much with until that's resolved. Anyway, hope this information was useful. I forgot to mention my sponsor, Dream Vacation. We have had a super hot couple of weeks. We've sold a bunch of vacations. Currently, the last 2 sales were to some beautiful resorts, one in Costa Rica and one into Santo Domingo. If you're interested or you're anticipated on going on a vacation, please do us a favor. Hit us up. Tell us what you want to do, where you want to go. Let us bid on it. Let us give you some information on what we can provide you, and then you can see if we are actually giving you a better value, because I firmly believe we will. Look us up, DM me in terms of if you're looking to be or going on vacation, and definitely look at our website, dreamvacation.com. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.